On this episode of Old School Monster Life, we finally put the body back on this thing and get it looking like a truck again. Okay, in the last episode we had got the fender wells stretched and the rust around the wheel wells fixed on the quarter panels for Danger Ranger. Now we're going to go back and actually do body work. And I found some more rust behind the wheel arch on the driver's side, so I went ahead and fixed that. And I said something about finding uglies underneath the body filler on the top rail of the bed. I see things over and over again, and sometimes I just don't understand. Like this, for instance. Why anyone would need to drill 21 holes in the top of a bed rail and then fill them in with body filler, I'm baffled. But it happens because this isn't the only time I've seen it. I think my record was 130 holes filled down one side of a vehicle. You know, screw type dent pullers is part of the problem, but there's just random holes drilled everywhere in the top of this bed rail. For whatever reason, they're all gone now. I welded them all up. So here's what we're working with. All of the metal work is now done on the bed. So this right here, let me see, yeah, that right there was a rot hole all through there. So I cut that out and welded in a new piece. And then anywhere you see a grind mark was a hole. And you'll see that there's lots and lots of grind marks all the way down the top of the bed. And like I said, I don't understand this, but it happened. And then this stake pocket was all ripped out, so I kind of rebuilt it as best I could, and I'll fill the rest in with mud because I don't know, it's still better than it was, and nobody's ever going to need to use that stake pocket for a stake pocket unless they're going to stick a flag or something in it. But I'm going to go ahead and start on the mud work and get this thing smooth and pretty so I can paint it. You can see my breath, it's cold out. I was working in a t-shirt and it was 77 degrees, I don't know, 3 days ago. Missouri weather, you gotta love it. So the weather has been kicking my butt. It's raining to beat the band out there now. It's hard to do body work and paint work when it's cold and raining, and I had planned on doing this, you know, later when it warmed up a little bit, but it's cold and raining, and now that the truck is outside I can't weld on the roll cage, so we just got to make progress however we can make it. So stick with me and we'll show you how the mud work pans out. Alright, well, back at it, and we now have all of the metal work done and the mud work done. So we're getting ready to lay some primer down, and pretty soon we'll be able to throw the bed back on the truck, done, painted, and ready to go. Here's where we are. So I did all the mud work. This side was the easy side and it was pretty straight, so mud work was at a minimum. We had some uglies where something big and heavy fell on the top of the bed, so we straightened that out. And then around the other side, there was lots and lots of uglies on this side, so yeah, there was much more to do and sculpt, but it's there. It looks good. I'm happy with it. And we are going to lay some primer down and get it pretty. Well, it's a little foggy in here, but I just finished spraying the last coat of primer on Danger Ranger's bed. Mud work's done and blocked out. The primer work is done. I got to block this last coat out, and then we can start laying color on it and get it on the truck. It turned out pretty nice, if I do say so myself. Nice big open wheel well. That's going to look cool. And the other side that was a rusty, rotted potato chip is now looking pretty snazzy too. So I'm pretty excited, and tomorrow we're going to lay some color down and get it back on the truck. It was a rough day to paint. Humidity's around 100%. It was pouring down rain all day. There's 3 inches of standing water outside. I had water literally running through underneath the garage door into the shop, and I went and painted the bed anyway. And all I can say is I still got it. Turned out good. Now there's dirt in there, but I can wet sand that out. I put a couple extra coats down so I can sand it out and buff it. But not too shabby for an old rundown shack in horrible painting conditions. I'm proud of what I got here. Next step is to get it on the truck. Okay, we got the bed on it. It's bolted down. The cab is bolted down tight and shimmed, so everything's lined up. This thing is definitely starting to look cool. I think the stance that I had measured out is right about on the money, so it should be about the same height as Bigfoot, the original Bigfoot. And it has stretched wheel wells that go along with that, and it's a good looking truck. Check it out. I polished the doors up so when I put the bed on it, it wouldn't have been such a noticeable difference. But how cool is that? To me, that is the perfect monster truck stance. And if he ever wanted to put 66s on it, he's got the clearance to do it. And that is just a cool looking truck. I am super pleased. I'm going to start working on the fenders and get the front clip back on it. And then all we got to do is put the drivetrain in it and get it running. It's going to be soon. Going to be soon. Good morning. It is April 6th, I believe, 2020. In the height of this coronavirus debacle, we are trying to finish up Danger Ranger. Well, we're down to stretching the wheel wells out on the front fenders, getting the front clip installed, and then putting the drivetrain in it. So we're moving along just fine, but I pulled the old fenders off and found that this truck wasn't near as nice as I thought it was. It has a lot of shoddy bodywork that was done by somebody else, and I'll show you what I mean. So I pulled the fender off, and at first glance it looks pretty decent until you see that the clips must be broken because we have literally wood screws holding the trim on, and then lots of Bondo and cracked Bondo, and there's a little bit of body damage there, and the chrome is twisted up. You can kind of see it here, how the chrome is twisted up. So rather than deal with all that, because I'm being lazy today, I'm just going to trade them out fenders. So I have nice fenders that I'm going to use, and that's one of them. All the chrome is in good shape. There's no twists, there's no bends, there's no Bondo, there's no nothing. So all I have to do with that fender is just stretch the wheel well, do the body work from stretching the wheel well, and paint it. And that's what I'm going to do with the other fender, because the other fender is actually worse than this one. So we're going to get on it, and I'll keep you posted on how things go. Well, it's coming together. I got the driver's side fender stretched out and tacked back together, so let me show you what that looks like. So there is the driver's side fender with a wheel well that's 10 inches longer than normal, but still has all the factory lines. So we just stretched her out, put that fill piece in the middle, focus, put that fill piece in the middle, and then tacked her all back together. So that is as far as you can stretch a wheel well on a dent side without, coming coming up with something completely weird because I'm into the braces on both ends of the fender. The wheel well is pretty much the entire opening of the fender. Anyway, I'm going to finish welding this. I'm going to get the other one up there and get it stretched out, and then I'm going to start mud work. Well, more progress. We have one fender that is stretched and the metal work is done and it's ready for mud work. So let me show you what we got. Now, Earthquake's fenders are stretched 8 inches in the front, and I went ahead and stretched these 10 so they match the back fenders. It was a little bit more work, but I'm pretty pleased with it, and I think not only will it look a little bit better, but just in case he puts 66s on it and gets too close to the fenders, this should give him the clearance he needs that he doesn't tear anything up. So now I have this one done, I'll get the next one on the table and start working on that one. Well, another long day in the shop. We got the fenders block smooth, we got the primer done, we got it block smooth, we got the color done. So the front fenders are ready to go back on the truck. Now, I'm not sure what the weather is going to hold tomorrow. We're supposed to get severe storms and hail tonight, so hopefully nothing gets wrecked. But tomorrow we can start putting the motor and trans in this thing. Can't wait. More progress on Danger Ranger. We have the front clip on. Of course, we have to take it right back off again to put the engine and trans in. Now, I had my engine and trans in to mock up the engine mounts and transmission mount. And now that the transfer case is mounted and the jack shaft is made, I'm ready for the owner's transmission. In the meantime, I'm still finishing up on the fab work. I have random bits of metal on the floor, and I'll show you. All of that will wind up being a worn winch bumper like is on the front of Earthquake. Now, as far as the truck goes, I gotta tell you, it looks pretty cool. Spent a lot of time doing my little custom old school touches to it, and as you can see behind me, it is quite cool. So there it is. There is Danger Ranger as a whole truck. Now, like I said, the engine and trans isn't in it yet, but the interior's in it, the steering column's in it, the engine mounts and transmission mount is in it, the transfer case is mounted, and we just have to finish bolting the steering up, which is on order right now. I got to finish building the caliper mounting brackets and bolt the rotors on and get them to work. And then just a little bit of maintenance stuff on the axles that I have yet to do. And this thing's ready for a test drive. I'm getting pretty excited about this. More progress on Danger Ranger. I usually don't do this for every customer, but years ago I repopped a few worn style winch bumpers. Philip said he wanted one on Danger Ranger, so I built another one, and turns out I have a lot of interest in it, so I will be doing a small run of worn bumpers, and anybody wants them, they're $450 a piece, and this is how you get them. So there is the remanufactured or repopped worn style winch bumper, and this is just how you get it. It's raw steel, and this one is set up for Fords. One thing about worn bumpers, the actual real ones, they just have this winch plate here, and then if you want to put it on a Ford truck, they have these goofy angle brackets that kick out like this. Well, this one, the plate goes all the way out to the frame bracket, and then there's just a stiffener here. So if you want one for a Chevy, I just flop these two pieces, these two here, and this becomes the frame bracket, and this is the upright support. Because on Chevys, they're 28 inches in between the frame rails on the front, and Fords and pretty much every other truck on the planet is 34. So there's the differences. But anyway, nice strong 1/4 inch plate. There's a few differences in mine, like the worn bumpers, these top plates, they tend to come loose and flop around, and mine really can't do that because it's a continuous weld all the way around. And yeah, these are nice, but they're $450 a piece if anybody's interested. But that one there goes on Danger Ranger, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint it and put it on the front of the truck. So we got the bumper painted and on the truck, and it turned out pretty decent. I'm very happy with it. And what a lot of people don't realize is that's a real handy step to work on the truck, because, you know, that's a long way down.